Hello, hello, hello. So this, mm, yeah. Welcome back to the live. My name is Denny Charles. I talk about self improvement, productivity, and minimalism on this channel. Um, that's me in one line at this stage. So I do not. Uh, I've done a live yesterday. We went live yesterday, and today we're going again because um, I thought this is Saturday, so I'll have more people streaming in because it's a holiday in most of the places. This live is actually about two things, and I apologize for the shadow on my right side. I'm extremely sorry because one of my lights are out of charge. Maybe once I get it charged, I can get it done. But this video is basically about being consistent when nobody is watching, being consistent when um, you're not uploaded, being consistent when you're appreciated, being consistent after you have taken the initiative of starting. In the yesterday's live, we spoke about that about starting, but most of the time, we start, and then what happens is later on, after a few weeks or months, we get to a level like we've traveled till the middle of the ocean, but we do not know the direction. We do not know how to cross the ocean. We do not know how to go to the other side of the ocean, because we get stuck in the middle of the ocean. We know there are a lot of sharks, lot of dangerous things under the ocean. We know what will happen if we don't go forward, but uh, get to a we get stuck in the middle. We do not know what to do. Okay, so that is the stage we're going to talk about in this video. I call it the silence after the start. Hmm, okay, so call it the silence after the start. I'm just going to change it here. Hmm. Can you write me your name? Whoever is watching me, can you just send me a hi on the chat so that we can have a conversation? Also, I want you to take this opportunity to ask me any questions. Ask me regarding anything personal or professional. It doesn't matter what kind of the question is. I'm someone who endorses freedom of speech, so it doesn't matter what you ask me. So the most difficult part is actually starting. We all struggle with starting because we most of the time we have no clue what we want in our life. Unless and until we get going to a particular level, most of the time we wouldn't have any clarity of what's going to happen in our life, or what is one thing that exactly we wanted. But even if we know that even if we know what we want, even if we take the first step of starting, we're going to get stuck in the place. We're going to get stuck in the middle. Uh, Despite putting all the efforts, despite putting all the energy and efforts, you still get stuck in the middle because you see, you go half the way. You've gone there, but when you don't see results, when you don't see active results happening, when you don't see the outcomes, you tend to start doubting your decision. You tend to question everything which happens around you. And what happens is you just get stuck there. Some people quit and go back to where they started. But I want you to know this, that the distance that you see from where you are stuck might look scary, but if you look behind and actually think the distance that you've actually covered, that's going to look more scary than going back to that place where you started. There are times in your life that you have to quit. There are situations where you cannot go forward when the stakes are very, very high. And when you're sure that you're going to fail, there are circumstances, like you're selling a product which is already outdated, and you're not ready to put any kind of progress inside in that particular product. Then you cannot keep going. You have to quit at that point. But most people quit when they don't see a breakthrough, when they don't um, see that result, when they don't see anybody clapping you. Initially, when you start, there will be a lot of people who appreciates you for starting. There will be a lot of people who uh, claps for you. But after a point, there comes a silence. When there are no results, everybody around you will start questioning you. Everybody, your family, your friends, they will all start questioning you, because you might believe in it. You might believe in your vision so hard that nothing can stop you. But at the same time, the people around you will start doubting you. They will start injecting the doubt in you. Because even if they don't, their silence, the silence of those people who are supporting you, might actually put you through a lot of turmoil. It could put you through a lot of self doubt. It could put you through a lot of questions, because you started uh, with a hope that they're going to stay with you with a long time. You would have never expected yourself to be alone in this journey. You would have never expected yourself to uh, to complete the journey by all by yourself. What you have to understand is, as you go as you go, you will start losing these people, the people who started with you, your family, your friends, your siblings, your closest friends. The people who supported you initially might sometimes outgrow you, sometimes doubt you, and they will leave. But you also have to understand that after that silence comes a point where you're going to explode, where you're going to get to that, when you're going to start seeing that results. If you can't wait for that, that's where you fail. That's where you actually quit. I mean, you know that you're going to be successful. You know that results are going to come. But still, just because you're alone, just because you're stuck in the middle of the ocean, you want to quit. That is where real failure begins. Real failure begins when you quit after you know that you're going to do this. There might be a calling in your mind, in your heart. Don't listen to anybody's opinion. Don't listen to what other people think of your decision. You can take advices from experts, but still, if you believe that that is your journey, that is your calling, that is one thing that is going to put you put you ahead in life, you should not quit. You should simply keep going, even if it is little slow. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The speed doesn't matter, but the direction does. The direction does matter. And it is in that silence that middle of the ocean where you're going to reinvent yourself. You might have come from that place to here with a belief, with a thought process that you're going to make it. But when you come to the center of the ocean, where nobody is there for you, you're all alone. Days are becoming nights, nights are becoming day, but you're still stuck there. That point is where you reinvent yourself. That point is where you say that this is not me, this is a 2.0. That point is where you start talking about the new version of yourself. That's the point where you start writing the new you, the new you, the you that nobody uh, standing on the side where you've started have seen, the you that your parents have not seen, the you that your siblings, your friends, your spouse, your friends, your ex-colleagues, nobody has seen. Nobody has seen that you, the you that you're becoming. That is where you shed your skin, and that is where you start moving. That is where you change your identity. A lot of things in our life depends upon the identity we carry. Believe that, as we have told earlier in many videos, that if we believe that we're going to be an idiot, you must have heard about the old self-help gurus talking about act like you've already in that position. People always often mistake that. People often misinterpret that into thinking that you have to spend a lot of money thinking that you're a rich guy. No, that's not what it is. It's about acting like that person who you want to become, or thinking about being a person. Now, let me ask you, if you want to become a voracious reader, but you consider yourself as someone who likes to read a book, you're someone who just wishes you're not that particular thing. You have not become a reader. You're just dreaming about becoming a reader. If you want to go to the gym, build a good physique, but you don't dare to take an admission to the gym, you don't consider yourself as someone who can lift weights, you have failed there. You are actually um, a man with big dreams and a poor identity. Only everything in your life starts from your mind, right? You could be the uh, most exciting person on the earth, but if you have a poor mindset, if you have a mindset that does not let you change, if you have a mindset that does not let you grow, then there is no point of all these dreams. You should stop dreaming. The quiet silence after the start is where you actually start seeing what do you really want in life. That is the point where you actually start looking inside yourself. That's a point where you ask yourself a lot of uncomfortable questions, and that's the point where you get a lot of uncomfortable answers. And that uncomfortable answers might be the answers that could, most probably, might be the answers that could take you to where you want. So that is why it says the silence that you're looking for, the silence which you are in, is where your identity is built. And most people quit here. That is where, that is the only difference. When I started making YouTube videos, uh, most people asked me, like, do you really want to make, do you really want to start a YouTube channel right now? Because YouTube is already saturated, the niche that you're in is very much saturated. And I, in fact, after the first couple of videos, uh, people actually stopped watching my videos. Okay, especially the people that are close to me seldom watch videos, or they don't comment, most of them, unless and until I push it to them. Maybe they're the wrong subscribers, which you do not want anyway. Uh, but the matter of fact is that they were watching me because I was a part of them, right? Now, somewhere deep down, their life has moved forward. They have started recognizing their problems, and I became a secondary option to them. So at this stage, they're not going to support me. I'll have to go all by myself. Now, the point here is, if I mistake this as failure, and if I quit this channel, just thinking that I've only got 543 subscribers, I've only got 143 watch hours, what if my next video is going to become a hit? What if my seventh video from here is going to go viral, extremely viral, that in a way that I could have even not even imagined? So that is the possibility that you have to look forward to. That positive. Whenever you are overthinking, think towards the positive side. Think about the possibilities, the opportunities that particular thing is also going to give you. Most of the time, we don't do that. We might think before we start, but once we start, we overthink on the negative side. We think about every possible failures. We think about every possible judgments. We fear about why, if our results, if the efforts that we put in doesn't uh, work out, the time we're going to lose, the money we're going to lose. But that's not the truth. Just like how you overthink the negative side, there's also a positive side where you can overthink on. This, you never know what you're going to be. The people who have made a difference in this world are the ones who has overthought the positive side. I was actually reading an article a couple of days ago that how pessimism is destroying people. You know, once we started using um, the internet, once we had access to all these information which is available in the database, we have come to a realization that we became too realistic, okay, in a world which is pretty unpredictable. No matter what data you have, what statistics you have, life is still unpredictable. People are still vulnerable, and anything good or bad can happen in our lives. But the only thing that keeps us going forward is the hope that we can do something, hope that we can make it happen. Uh, Imagine if you wake up every day in the morning, you do not know what the outcome of a day is going to be. You think you know it because you're habitual to the day. You might be working in an organization, so you know you're going to go into the organization. Your boss might shout at you, the boss might not shout at you. You are still having no clue about your day. It is just an assumption. What happens if you wake up in the morning, sit in the bed, and think that, oh, I'm going to die today? If you think that 10 times, you'll not even go out of the bed. If you're someone who drives a vehicle, what would happen if you get to the car and think that, oh, this car is not going to reach to the next destination? You don't think that way because you know the way. But if you're driving towards a new way, and driving in a new route you have never been to, you will certainly have doubts. Even if you have a navigator, even if you have Google Maps on, you've got endless money in your pocket, you've got endless internet, you've got music, you will still have doubts. So that is what happens when you're taking a new route. Everybody in this world will have self doubts, but you cannot sit in that place with self doubts. You will have to go, act, create results. The only way to not get stuck in the middle of the ocean is to keep going forward, is to just keep going forward. Another thing about consistency is that um, consistency, why nobody cares and why that's okay. See, people, as I've told earlier, nobody is supposed to care at the start. It's your responsibility to believe first. See, it doesn't matter to the world what happens to you. Okay, whether you become a YouTuber or you don't, even your parents doesn't care. If you want to become an entrepreneur and you have not, you failed as an entrepreneur, nobody is going to care. Not even your parents. Your parents want you to live a very comfortable life because they worked hard for you, but they do not want you to become an entrepreneur. They do not want you to become the officer with the highest rank. They want you to be comfortable. They want you to have a house. They want you to have a car, whatever modern things the society uh, accepts and uploads. They want you to have that. The minimal things. They don't want you to drive a Mercedes Benz S Class. They don't want you to drive a Bentley. They don't want you to drive a Rolls Royce. They don't want you to go in a helicopter. This is all your dreams. They don't want you to read books. They don't even want you to hold a flagship phone. They don't want you to journal. They don't want you to have gratitude. People would like you having bread, but they do not want you to have pizza. It's your thing. Having pizza is your thing. Having a healthy diet is your thing. Nobody wants you to have six packs. If you have home, food, income, and clothes, everybody around you is going to be happy for you. But I mean, your parents, your siblings, they don't, it doesn't matter. Your net worth doesn't matter to anybody. Your income doesn't matter to anybody. What matters is, are you alive? Are you healthy? Are you getting the minimal stuff? They might treat you differently. They might treat the richer one um, with little more importance if the richer one provides to them. Provides. If not, they might they might not support him as expected. But the they might not show it outside because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And what you have to know is, but in some stages, if you are doing something that could potentially make them proud, the people might support you initially. But then after that stage, they'll go with their lives. And then they will join. Then they will join you only when you've reached your destination. I don't know how this happens, but they will join you when you have become the pride of their lives. When telling your name gives other people a drop jaw, at that stage they will start supporting you. Until then, you will have to travel, you'll have to go, you'll have to take this journey, you'll have to travel all by yourself. It's not that people are bad. It's not that they're jealous of you. It's not that they hate you becoming successful. That's simply life is like that. You don't have to overthink on the situation. Life is going to be like that. Just make sure that they don't pull your legs. That can also happen, but make sure you don't they don't pull your legs. And in your journey, you're also going to meet a lot of competitors. You're going to meet a lot of new people. Some people are going to push you forward. Some people are going to pull you down. But people are not supposed to be a part of your journey. If you think that people are supposed to be a part of your journey, you're going to be disappointed. You will not even go a step further. And when the world joins back, when you've proven, take time to appreciate it, embrace that feeling. Don't complain, don't blame, don't tell them that you were not there when I was here. Be happy because you got there anyway. With or without their support, you got there anyway. You wanted to get there, and that was it. What they thought, how they did or did not support you is not your business. Focus only on things that matters. There are many things that we put our focus on. Most of them do not matter. Journal, write every day, offload whatever is in your brain. Don't carry it. Why carry this? You take a small stone. Once, an old lady near my house, who was one of the first entrepreneurs, she sold groceries and small stuff to school children, told my mother in law that, if you take a stone, when my mother in law was about to get an educational loan for my wife back then, she told her that, what, if you take a small stone and put it on your head and you walk and walk and walk, after a long time, you will start feeling the weight of that small stone. That's how every liability is. That's how everything that you put into your head is. Every thought that you put, whether it's good or bad, it stays there and grows. Because your brain likes to entertain you like that. So it grows. It grows to a bigger stone. And you also, with the distance, you feel the weight. So once you're there, just be happy, live, leave, and move on. Move on. And it is also a test. Like I told you earlier, it is also a test. That is where you test your resilience. That's where you uh, test whether that journey from the starting point to the middle of the ocean was something that trained you or not. That is where you test your skills, your abilities. That is where you test your capabilities. That is where you test your patience. That's where you test your passion for that particular thing you're seeking. So, and the third point is the loneliness of the middle. If you want something, your success, there's a very interesting story in this book, Think and Grow Rich, that there were a lot of gold miners. So when gold was uh, being commercially mined, one guy, a rich guy, goes there. He gets machines. He gets a team, and they start digging. They go, they dig. After a few digs, they get to the metal. So they um, make the carriage. They make the logistics and stuff, and then they uh, start selling it. They make money. They go for the second round, and they get gold again. They're happy. On the third round, they don't get the gold. So what they do is they stop there, give the machinery to the engineer who was leading the company, and they leave. They quit. And then after a few days, the engineer starts to dig. And later on, he dug and sold the most gold from that particular place. That's how it is. You never know. Your success might be just one arm away, one hand away from getting. But that will be the point where you leave, where you quit. You will never know that. And that's very important. So it's very important that if you know that you should do it, go ahead and do it. And that is where you go through a lot of self doubts. A lot of self doubts. Your brain, your head will start playing with you. That is where things like journaling, meditating, you have to keep your mind and your tongue low. Because thoughts have nothing else to do than to play with your mind. So every single thought, every failures, every possible success, every possible thing that you could have missed, your friends, everybody will be inside your head. I'm getting closer to my 40s, and I have to tell you that materialistically, most of my friends are doing much better than me. But I used to have problems initially when I started, when I had a couple of failures, and when I started off my career, I was the one among my friend circle to go and take off very quickly. I had crossed a lot of milestones much earlier than most of them did. But as we go to the middle of my career, what happened is I started losing the balance, because since I got the success faster, I did not have strong foundations. It was all about work. It was just about keeping on doing it without even taking a minute to think about life. But then what happened was many of them got much bigger than me because their foundations were much stronger. And it did disturb me. I have to admit it that it did disturb me initially. But then I realized that everybody has a different journey. You never know who's going to win, who's going to lose, because I won in a very fast pace. By the time I was 35 or 36, I had two failed businesses, a couple of job losses. Twice in my life, I came close to a divorce with my wife, and but we did not. We're still together, but we came very close. And again, I also had a cancer. But I've seen many lives, many people who live a beautiful life, and then the time they hit their mid 40s, mid 50s, everything collapses. That can happen to anybody in life. So, what you have to understand is when you keep doubting yourself, keep your thoughts very low, and you have to understand out of the 365 days you live every single year, you hardly have bad days. If you think and start writing down, you will understand. That is why journaling is so important in life. Writing down your thoughts. It's not practical to say that you have to sit down and journal every day. Difficult. You can at least do it once or twice a week. You can have weekly journaling. Every week you can sit down and think what happened in your week. You have to write down where to reflect, what to change, what not to change. I was actually um, I was actually journaling a couple of. I have not journaled in the last 2 days, but this is how the journal is. So I have at this point I have this one journal where I write affirmations, where I write. So it actually um, so I write a lot on these pages. Okay, so I write whatever I feel in my mind. I also have in the same page I write about the dream that I have, and um, I also write my affirmations. I have got enough confidence, but still I still write affirmations like I'm a confident man. Um, this portion I don't want to show completely at this stage. This portion is where I write the identity of me. So I don't have a structured journal here. I just write whatever I feel like. I also write my next contents. So what I was trying to tell is the point I was trying to make here is it was my the last journey is 21st 21/10/2025. It was my 14,258th day in this world. What else do you need to be grateful for? I've lived plus it's been 4 more days, like 14,262nd day of my life is when I'm doing this live. And If you sit back and think, in this 14,262 days, how many days have given you immense pain? 10, 15, 20? How many days have given you intense success? Again, 10, 15 days. Like, even somebody like Virat Kohli or Sachin Tendulkar or some people like who's got hundreds and hundreds of hundreds, still they've got maybe 200 or 300 days. But not more than 10% of the days out of these 14,405, 262 days, uh, less than 10% days would give you success or failure. Rest days were just normal, you were trying, you were stumbling, and that's how life is. So every time you doubt yourself, tell yourself, think how many days have you lived in this world? And then sit down and think how many days have given you bad days, how many good days. So nothing matters. What matters is live in this moment, take the next step necessary. And number four, um, thank you so much, Stanley. Uh, thank you. Thank you so much. And another thing, what I want you to know is this, in the loneliness of the middle, that is where you have to start learning your own company. Your own company. There's nobody who wishes so good for you other than yourself. As I've told you earlier, your parents do not want you to fly in a private jet. Your parents do not want you to be chauffeur driven in a Mercedes Benz 650, S650. They don't mind you going in auto rickshaw as long as you're happy, you're healthy, you've got food, shelter, and uh, uh, clothes. But if there is nobody who does not wish as good, if there is no well wisher for you as you, why would you not enjoy your own company? Why would you not enjoy by being yourself? A few years ago, when I used to have this sales jobs, I used to travel a lot from within the country. I used to be in a local market, local sales. So I used to travel from Abu Dhabi to Fujairah, depending on the day, depending on the customer visit. And I had a lot of time on the road. What I did was three things. One, I used to smoke a lot of cigarettes in the car because I wanted to keep myself alive, because I used to drive an average of 350 kilometers every single day. And I used to drink a lot of coffees, and I used to vent, call up my friends, because since I was in sales, I used to have this very good call packages where I could talk to people for hours. So I used to call them up and vent out everything that I wanted to. And eventually, all those venting out backfired me some way or the other. But that's okay. That's how life is. But when I started sitting with myself in 2020, during the COVID, is when my second business failed. And I was all alone in the house. My wife used to go to work, and I used to sit in the house, cook. Um, that's when I learned cooking. That's when I knew that I had skill as a cook. My wife loves my food. And today I cook almost every food that Kerala has, except the paratha, because it takes a lot of time to cook. But that is when I started really identifying myself. I used to spend a lot of time alone. I think almost close to quite a few months, and that was the lowest point of my life, because the business failed and I lost everything in that. And except that my wife had a good, decent job, and she uh, used to take care of me. But that time by myself was the time that I knew who I am. That is when I quit smoking. for the first time. I did quit smoking for 2 years before I was diagnosed with a cancer, and then it's after the cancer that I quit smoking again. Uh, so I quit smoking. I started reading a lot. I started writing a lot, and that is when I understood the power of journaling, because journaling used to save me from a lot of things. So spending the time with yourself is so important, so important, and that is where you actually grow. And number four is consistency. The real meaning of consistency. See, consistency does not actually mean that uh, you live a very perfect life. Now, if you are a consistent guy, you've got a schedule of going to the gym uh, 5 times a week. Not necessarily that you can go to the gym 5 times a week. Now, the point is your job is to put that effort to go 5 times a week. But if you don't, if you don't go to the gym 5 times a week, just going 3 times a week, it is still fine. It is still fine. You've just gone 3 times this week. You've missed 2 days. Just make sure that you make it up in the next week or the following week. Even if you have just been to the gym 3 days a week, this week, next week you're going 3 days, other week you're going 3 days, you have to understand that there are people who have not even they don't there are people who don't go to the gym once a month. You're still doing a great job. Consistency does not mean that you do everything perfectly to the point. No, it doesn't happen like that. You are a human being. You are capable and equally vulnerable. Just as much you can hit Jasprit Bumrah for 6 sixes and an over, so is that you can get bowled by him in the first ball itself. You're that vulnerable. But you're also very capable. You have to, how you stay grounded is, especially during tough times, is you understand how capable you are and accept that you can fall anytime. Because when you understand how capable you are, it'll make you confident to go towards the finishing line. And when you accept that you're vulnerable, it will push you forward, because you'll fear of going back. You'll be afraid of going back. You'll fear the distance that you've covered. As I've told you in the beginning of this video, if you actually sit in the middle of the ocean and fear about the distance on that side, if you look back, the fear will be more, because you don't want to go back to where you started. You would never want to go back to where you started. Of course, when you're in your 5th grade, you have no clue how your 10th grade is going to look like. But if somebody sends you back to KG, you will never go there, right? And consistency does not mean routine. Routine, see, everybody cannot follow a morning routine or a night routine consistently. My wife is a pharmacist. My sister-in-law is a nurse. My sister is a doctor. They are all people who works in different shifts. They don't have a permanent shift. Some days they wake up at 9 o'clock. Today my wife is working from 11 to 11. Yesterday she worked from 9 to 4. Tomorrow she's not working. Again, day after tomorrow she goes back to a 2 to 10 shift. So the timing changes, and the people, when the timing changes, you cannot follow an exact routine. When I in 2019 is when I actually lost a lot of weight. I was like 92 or 92 kgs, something like that. But when I started going to the gym, I did not have a trainer back then. I did not have anything. What I did was I used to go to the gym like 15 days or something like that every month. Some weeks it'll be like 2 days, some weeks it'll be like 3 days. But every time I went to the gym, I worked out well. And I simply cut sugar and I did not overeat. I ate good food. I ate food. I ate 3 times almost. Some days I did skip one meal, but most of the days I think I ate three meals. But I did not overeat. Like if I did not eat in a position where my stomach bloated, I had bloating, and after 6 months, 6 to 7 months, I lost around 16 or 8, 17 kgs. I did maintain that until COVID, which I said earlier, the business lows and the time that I spent at my home. Until that, I had maintained that weight. But so what I said is, all I did was I made sure I went to the gym 15 days. Since I was in a sales job, I also could not follow a particular routine in the morning because some days I would meet clients late night and I would come back in the morning and sleep till 8 o'clock, and then that'll be when I go to the market. So you, if you don't have a routine, that's perfectly all right. But if you can tie it up with the time when you wake up or you sleep, before you sleep, that'll be much better, be easier for you. And um, every small act compounds, even invisible efforts count. We have heard about this enormous times that uh, everything compounds. There's this book called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. I would recommend that anybody who is planning to read Atomic Habits, before you read Atomic Habits, you should read The Compound Effect, which actually says that everything compounds. You even you cutting 100 calories per day, cutting just 100 calories per day over the period is just multiplied by 365. That's the amount of calories you did not consume compared to the previous year. That itself is a big achievement, right? So that would compound over time. Everything, like when I started smoking cigarettes, I couldn't smoke beyond 3 or 4 cigarettes when I started smoking. But towards 2018-19, when I smoked cigarettes, I used to smoke 6 to 7 cigarettes in one go. Like I used to come back to back to home from the market, go to the toilet, take a break. So whenever I was in the bathroom, I used to sit down and smoke 6 to 7 cigarettes in one go. And I did not feel anything. I never felt that I smoked the first cigarette, never felt I smoked the second cigarette. But then after the break, when I restarted smoking, after COVID, the 2 year gap, when I restarted smoking, I used to feel that. Like, oh, the first cigarette used to make me tired. The second made me tired. That's how it is. Everything from good habits to bad habits, you compound. Alcoholics do not become alcohol the first day. They drink and slowly become. So everything that you do, reading, your memory games, journaling, whatever you do, like editing. When I started editing 2 years ago, I was finding it so difficult to edit a video. I did not edit in my laptop for more than 6 months because I was afraid to edit on laptop. I used to edit it back in mobile because mobile was much easier to edit. It's just that the screen was small. But once I started editing the videos, today everything comes like that. It's so quick. My hands go like this. It's very fast. So that's how it is. Anything that you do, good or bad, it compounds over time. And number 5 is systems, not moods. See, we are often driven by moods, right? When we are in a good mood, we do well. When we are in a bad mood, we don't do well, right? So everything what happens in our life is based on our moods. To be very frank, if you look back, you will understand. Every time you spoke to a person, every time you made love with someone, every time you loved someone, every time you sent a message to someone, it was all your mood, right? It was all your mood. You went to the gym because you were in a good mood. You read a book because you were in a good mood. But what happens is, whether your mood is good or bad, you have to go out and do it, right? You say, uh, you are not in a good mood to lift weights, but still go to the gym. Do as much as you can. Don't don't lift heavy, don't lift the weight that you do not want to take. Don't do the exercise that you don't want to do badly. Just do little of it. Just slowly push your brain to come out of it. There's this interesting concept in this book called Tiny Habits by what Hogue is that? I forgot his name. BJ Fogg, yeah, BJ Fogg. BJ Fogg's has got a system in where uh, this book, if you have not if you do not know this book, it's a very good book. It's slightly an advanced read. When you compare it to Atomic Habits is very, it's a very easy read. Tiny Habits is slightly. This book, this is the Compound Effect I spoke about, right? Darren Hardy. Very interesting book. Very simple book to read. If you're traveling in a flight, just pick this book up. Just read it in one day and go. So there's a concept in this book. He talks about doing one push-up instead of taking 15 push-ups or 20 push-ups. Do one push-up. Now, when I say one push-up, we might find it very silly, right? But one push-up is actually something that will force your brain to do, will force you to do two push-ups or three push-ups in the following days, because that's how it is. One push-up today will eventually get into two push-ups tomorrow. It will get into three, four, five. That's how it is. Focus on building, starting tiny, starting small, starting really small. Eventually, things will change. And another thing is, make showing up easier than skipping. See, we have done this earlier also. We've spoken about this. You must have heard this many times, that if you want to make a habit stick, if you want to start a new habit, make it easy. And if you want to make a habit, if you want to kill a bad habit, make it difficult. The moment you stop doing something, the moment you stop doing something, the moment you make it difficult to do, you will start hating it naturally. I still remember, I spoke in yesterday's live also. When I wanted to quit smoking, I stopped buying packets. Instead of buying packets, I used to go to a grocery that sold loose cigarette, and that grocery was uh, around 4 minutes, close to 5 minutes walking distance from my house. So every time I felt smoking, every time I felt like smoking, I went to the grocery, bought one cigarette, smoked, and came back. That was how I punished myself when I wanted to quit smoking. So every time I did that, my brain actually started telling me, probably, that Tenny, I don't want to smoke. I don't want to go in this distance. So people living in the Middle East would know the hot sun. So I was at home, wherever when I went outside, I went to places, only started uh, buying loose cigarettes. So what did I do to quit smoking? The only thing that it was, I stopped buying packets. I stopped buying cigarettes in packets. So make showing up easier than skipping. If you want to go to a gym, you have a very nearby gym which has got only 4 or 5 dumbbells, but you don't want to go there. You want to go to the very expensive gym outside. It's got a lot of machines, half of which we would never use. Go ahead and do it, but If you want to be consistent going to the gym, go to the gym near your house, which has got only two dumbbells. Because that two dumbbells, three dumbbells is more than enough for you to reduce weight or get fit, as long as you're not a professional bodybuilder. Yeah? And sorry, excuse me for that. And another thing is discipline is freedom when it's automated. Yeah, see, everything that you do is a habit eventually, right? When you discipline yourself to do, when you discipline yourself to do something, that is basically made it a habit of going to the gym every day at 5 o'clock. It You'll just do it by yourself. See, every time you wear a watch, you don't wear it on your right hand. You mostly wear it on your non-dominant hand. Why? Because you've been doing it for years. Nobody has to teach you that. Even if putting the watch is the first thing that you do waking up in the morning, you do it. Discipline should actually become your second nature. And once everything is your second nature, you start to uh, trusting the process more. It starts becoming automatic. It just happens. So you have to keep repeating it, repeating it, repeating it, repeating it until it becomes your second nature. It might feel boring. It's very boring. Now, see, I've got only two people watching me in this live, and I've been talking for the past 1 hour, and it is boring because there is no body to upload. There's nobody to send me a message. There's nobody to appreciate, but I'm still sitting down and talking, looking at the camera and talking because that's what I've planned. Until I finish this 10 points that I want to talk, I will not stop this. Or my phone gets switched off. I will not stop this live. And the next thing is how to measure invisible progress. Just because you can't see growth doesn't mean it's not happening. Just because you cannot see your growth does not mean it's not happening. See, when you go to the gym and start working on your body, you might not see muscles in the second month or the third month. But if you notice, you would know that your lifting abilities might have changed. Your confidence level might have changed. But they are not so possible, not visible. Most of the time, we will not accept what is visible to us. We will only consider what is visible to the other person. So if you will not have appreciations, you will start thinking that you're not making any progress. That's not right. You are making progress. You're just not seeing it. You're just not noticing it. That's a right way to phrase it. If you remember, I just told you a few minutes ago that I was on a weight loss phase. When I was on a weight loss phase, I did not see any progress until month 6. But month 5, 6 happened, and then all of a sudden change started to happening quickly. That's how it is. Next point is you're building patience, depth, and trust in yourself. Patience is the most important thing for success. The most important thing. Since you're not seeing results very early, if you're not seeing results very early, you have to be patient enough to wait to see the results. And if you're seeing the results early, you should be patient enough to hold on to that and make it grow. Instead of, if you suppose you need the business and you get a lot of money initially, you don't have to just go out and buy a Mercedes and buy a BMW and stuff. You have to be patient enough to grow further so that you reach a level that you can buy 2 of them. Track effort, not applause. Track the effort. Everyday journal. Every day write down the effort that you've put in. Don't look at the results. Results will come. Just put in the efforts. See what's not working. See what is working. and track the effort. And can I take a minute, please? Can I just check the phone? Taking a break for 30 seconds, please. Hello. So I hope you're here. I'm not able to take away the shadow. I'm so sorry. I'm back. Yeah, so track effort, not applauses. Forget the people, forget everything. Just track what you're doing. If you're doing, um, um, if your efforts are correct, then there's nothing to worry. And the next problem is understand that every time you doubt yourself, you're actually not failing, you're growing. Because every self doubt that you have, if you navigate that self doubt into a few good questions that can give you answers, then what happens is that answers, that self doubts is eventually going to give you a lot of things that you did not know about yourself. So do that. Don't think so much. Whenever you're having self doubts, write all those self doubts down and ask, create good questions about it. When you make good questions, you will eventually have good answers. Rest is not quitting, it's part of staying. Rest, see, we need breaks. There's a very interesting book called by When by Daniel H. Pink. Yeah. So when actually talks a lot about timings, not the astrological timings, but the right time to do a particular thing. So it talks about a very interesting concept that there are three types of people. There are early birds, there are third birds, and there are night owls. Now, eh, whoever we are, after we wake up, if you suppose you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, after 12 hours of your break, you're eventually going to become tired. That's how it is. So, what you do is drink a coffee, uh, take a coffee, and then go for a nap. Take a coffee and go for a 20-minute nap. That 20-minute nap is going to be a second session that would energize you. Okay, so it's a very good concept. Nice, occasionally try it, and it's very effective. It energizes you, but make sure you don't sleep more than 20 minutes. Okay, so that's one way. Power naps are very important in during your days. If you can, if you see, we are all different people, we all work in different circumstances. Some jobs that do not allow us to have a power nap, but if you try, if you can find a way out, have a power nap of 20 minutes, have a coffee and try that out. Second thing is your sleep. Every time you have to notice this, if you notice your body, you would understand whenever you're tired, you're very tired, not because you did not have enough food, not because you got too much work. Most of the time you're not tired, you're very tired because you do not sleep that day properly, and you did not drink enough water. Water we'll talk about later, but sleep. Sleep is very important. Sleep, do not compromise on sleep. Like, say, if you can sleep at least 7 hours a day. Everybody is different. I know people who sleeps 9 hours, 10 hours. Somebody as like Roger Federer, I've heard that he used to sleep 12 hours a day because his job demanded it. You can sleep 6 to 7 hours, are pretty good. Um, so rest is not quitting. You have to take rest. You have to take breaks. Sometimes when you take a break from your work and just go move backwards and observe what was happening, just have a couple of days out of your routines and out of your things, it'll give you better ideas. Comparison fades when you focus on alignment instead of speed. Yeah, I've told you about this earlier. Most of my friends does much better than me right now, and I used to have problems initially. When I used to compare, I used to have a kind of ache in the heart. But when I stopped comparing, I have understood that my journey is different. I might not be materialistically as successful as many of them, but spiritually, emotionally, I am in a much stronger phase of life. So do not compare yourself to anybody. When you compare yourself to people, you should think it this way. You when you come when you if you were to replace if you were to switch your life to somebody else's life, you would have to go through every pain that they went through, right? Like, for example, I don't want to take the name, but the CEO of a very big organization globally, a very famous name, like Sundar Pichai, but not Sundar Pichai, very someone like him. uh, Two of his children uh, is differently abled. Now, the point is, as a parent, that parent might be strong enough to handle that child, but that parent might be going through a lot of pain and agony. Now, imagine if you were to switch your life to that person's life, you would want to be the parent of a differently abled child. Now, being the parent of a differently abled child is not a bad thing. No matter how strong they are, you will have to go through the agony that people are going through, the pain, the difficulties. Look at everybody around you. Don't just look at their successful parts. Don't just look at the parts of their life that are glowing. Also, look at their difficult parts. Look at the path they have come from. Now, you can switch your life to Cristiano Ronaldo's. If you were Cristiano Ronaldo, imagine you at one point you would have gone you might have wanted to go to the McDonald's kitchen and ask for leftover food, which Ronaldo did when he was a kid. But you didn't have to do that. You had more money. Your childhood was much, much better than Ronaldo's or Messi's. I'm sure about it. Maybe even Lewis Hamilton's. So, whenever you're switching or comparing your life to others, you also will have to take the pain. Okay. And repetition, the next side is repetition becomes meditation. Like we said earlier, repetition, repeating a thing, repeating is boring. But repeating is what, when you want to learn something, when you want to do something, you actually look for a lot of strategies, right? That's a kind of procrastination. You don't need so much of information before you start something. Now imagine the people who had made big before, say, the 1900s or the 1950s, the people who explored the world, people who, they did not have so much of information like you did. They started with the information they had. Of course, information will help you analyze things, but only on the later stage. Initially, you need information, but you need to start. You don't need so much deep information in your life. And consistency is devotion, showing up with faith even when unseen. Yeah, that's a different topic. It's a very, faith is a personal topic, right? If you think that, many books have taught me that gods do not exist like religions say. But as I said earlier, life is pretty unpredictable. That unpredictability is what made us create religions. That vulnerability is what made us create religions. And now, despite having all these data, all these information and analysis, you still have a very uncertain life, right? So, to keep you going, if you can be a pure non believer, just believing in yourself and your abilities and your capabilities and skills, well and good. If you're a strong guy, pretty good. But if you're not someone who wants to depend on religions, who is not so strong or so capable of believing in yourself so much, there's nothing wrong in praying. It's just like holding, when you're standing in a traveling bus, it's just like holding the road. If you can live a life without religions, without this all this fluff around, pretty good. But if you don't have the strength, there's nothing wrong in going back to your faith. There's nothing wrong in holding on to your faith. It's just that you don't have to screw the other person, um, because of your faith. You don't have to force your faith on the other person. Another point is, every act done with awareness becomes sacred. See, after a point, like we said earlier, it becomes a part of your life. So keep repeating it and keep doing it intentionally. And the last point is that the quiet victory of those who keep going. See, most of the time, real success of people depends mostly depends on the people who did not give up. Most people who are successful have gone through the similar adversities of the person who uh, had quit at one point. Let's say there's A and B, they both having the same dream, same plan, and they start working towards one goal. And eventually, what happens is A goes ahead and B quits in between because the adversity was the same. A wins and B fails. And after a few years, B would come and say, "Oh Lord, I was about to win and I had to quit because uh, A did not tell me that adversity could have been solved." And they know each other. Whose mistake it is? B's mistake, because B gave up. A kept going. So keep going, and the reward is who you become, not what you get. See, end of the day, what happens is you have to keep going until you get to that point. It might take, the journey is different. Some people might reach that particular level in 6 months, some people like 1.5 years, some people 2 years, some people 3 years. See, when I started making YouTube videos, there were many people who were making YouTube videos when I started making YouTube videos. Some of them have crossed 200, 300,000 subscribers. Some of them are making money. Some of them have not even got 100 subscribers. I'm somewhere at 560, 543. So that's how it is. The world moves fast. Quiet people who stay become timeless. The world moves fast. The last 5 years in my life just went like this. When I look back, 35, I'm turning 40 in the next 10 months, probably. And I'm going to get in my fourth decade. But the last 5 years of my fifth decade, a third decade, went so quickly that I couldn't even think of it. I don't remember. I don't know what happened to me. It just went like that. Last 2 years went very fast. So that's how it is. And if you stay, you will become a timeless person. Thank you for watching. I'll stay here for 5 more minutes if I've got any questions. So let's wind this up. That's better because there's nobody watching. Anyway, if anybody is watching, thank you for being here. It was a very good live, very productive live. See you next week. I will try to come in one more live somewhere this week. Until then, see you. Have a great day. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe. Thank you for watching.